hours ago, Microstrategy, or formerly Microstrategy, now Strategy, is officially qualified for inclusion into the S&P 500. This is not only massive for TradFi, but this could change everything for Bitcoin. Could MSTR's inclusion finally help to explain Michael Saylor's fascinating theory about the next Bitcoin bear market? Let's take a listen to it.
How do you expect the asset to continue a price increase at these levels that we've seen? I mean, can it keep that up over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years? And at what point do we see, winter coming again? Because that's been a permanent fixture of this asset class, right? It's gone from 0 or 1,000 to 20, and then back down to 3 or 4, and then up to 50, and then back down to 15, and now up to 110. Like, when does it drop again?
Winter's not coming back. We're past that. We're past that phase. If Bitcoin's not going to 0, it's going to $1 million. And you have all the evidence you need to determine that, right? The President of the United States has determined he supports Bitcoin. The cabinet supports Bitcoin. Scott Bessent supports Bitcoin. Paul Atkins has shown himself to be an enthusiastic believer of Bitcoin and digital assets. Kentez at CFTC feels the same way. The banks are going to custody Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gotten through its riskiest period. The accounting has been corrected. There's now only 450 Bitcoin a day available for sale by natural sellers. That's the miners. At this level, that works out to about $50 million of Bitcoin available for sale every day. If that $50 million is bought, then the price has got to move up to find any seller that's price sensitive. Now, if you do the math, you'll actually see the Bitcoin treasury companies by themselves are buying the entire natural supply.
Yeah. BlackRock
and the ETFs are buying another measure of that. And we've got nation state actors coming into the space. So I think when Bitcoin rallies, if it surges to 500,000 or $1 million, then maybe we could talk about it crashing down by $200,000 a coin. But at the current price levels, it only takes $50 million to turn the entire drive shaft of the crypto economy one turn. And you've got the Trump media organization announcing $2.5 billion. You've got GameStop announcing $500 million. You've got my company that's raising billions and billions of dollars. So the writing is on the wall. Bitcoin's moving higher.
Let's go. Well, before we go in and break down this article, I do want to acknowledge the fact that this clip was like, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, and the price ticker was exactly the price that we're at today, Nico. So I did the poll in the chat. Is winter coming? Who knows? Who knows exactly? But I mean, his point remained the same. We've been saying this on the show for a while. What is going on right now makes absolutely no sense. Like, the math around this makes absolutely no sense. If this amount of capital is coming into Bitcoin, the amount of Bitcoin that is being released daily, which historically has been kind of what needs to get eaten up before the price starts running, it makes absolutely no sense. Though you do have to bring in that extra factor of all the coins that are hitting exchanges. I don't know if you guys saw over the weekend, but we saw another huge OG tranche hit the exchanges. I think it was another 24,000 coins. I think they broke off like 3K and they're continuing selling. So there's a lot of coins hitting the exchanges right now. So this clip right here, that math that Saylor laid out for us, it really does explain kind of like the macro dynamics playing out. It's not really factoring a lot of people that are currently selling right now, but I don't know, Nico, before we break this down, I know we've talked about this clip before, winter isn't coming. And I was literally saying it this morning while I was in the gym. It's like, man, right now, it really feels like one of those times where you have to like out trade your emotions, because emotionally we're all drained. We're all like, man, is this dump coming? Are we double topping here? What is going on? Because the price should be going up, but it's always dumpiest before it's pumpiest. And so when you feel like you should be selling your Bitcoin, that's probably when you should be acquiring it. And if you're being honest with yourself, I think I know we're stupidly bullish here every single day. But if you're looking at the price right now and you are following the price and what's going on, you can see the market sentiment. it does make you almost want to puke, but you're like, that's why I know it's going to start ripping. So before we get into the big announcement, Nico, let's just double back on what Saylor was saying. Is the winter coming, Nico? You've been having a lot more conversations with other Bitcoiners. So are you still bearish? Uh-oh, am I losing you? Oh, there you are. You're back.
I've been having these existential thoughts, right? And I think that's the key thing to phrase here.
Or you're not.
Oh.
Dude, your internet, it's whack. Refresh, and I'll break down this story. Refresh. Yeah, refresh. All right, Nico has really bad internet again today. I thought we fixed that. Anyways, here is the headline for you guys. So let me see if it pops up. Yes, it does. This one's on Yahoo Finance. They are using CoinDesk. The original kind of news break did come out of Bloomberg, I believe, but I don't have the Bloomberg terminal anymore. So we're going to use Yahoo Finance here. Anyways, the headline is Strategy qualifies for S&P 500. Inclusion decision could come on Friday. So by Friday, we will know if Strategy is included into the S&P 500. Now, the really big game changer of this is so many people have the S&P 500 in their portfolios. It's basically passive income coming into, the S&P 500. And so if this is playing out, and of course, Saylor stock continues to rise, well, this ATM, basically him getting loans, acquiring more Bitcoin, the flywheel, as it's been known, is going to accelerate and go into overdrive. And now, I forget what the number is, but tens of millions of people are now going to be tacitly investing in Bitcoin. Are you back? Yeah, it seems like you're back, Nico.
I am back. Sorry, guys. I don't know what I've been trying to fix this for the last week or so, and I don't know. There's just hotel Wi-Fi. But the point that I wanted to make is this point, and I think it's very, very fitting for Opti what you were talking about in the beginning of the show. This is a post by VJ Boyapati. Right. And it kind of goes along the theme that you're talking about, Opti, where it's like, okay, like what is winter coming back? Right. Is winter even a thing? Is it even a possibility anymore? And this is something that I think a lot of Bitcoiners, especially if you're like me and Opti, that are like these dopamine addicts from class of 2016, 2017, we're used to that parabola. We're used to that like parabolic run. Now we don't know if that is over. We might still be getting that at the end at the Q4. We're in Q4 right now. So after September,
it's Q3 starts in what, like a week or two?
No, dude, this is Q4. This is Q4, bro. Yeah, this is the last 4 months of the year. Literally, today is the first year.
Well, it's the last 3 months, bro.
Okay,
four quarters, 3 months. Come on.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But the point is that Q4 of the year after the halving tends to be explosive, right? And we're a month away from that. But one of the things that I posted this morning was I said, hey, guys, at the beginning of the year, our live stream, me and Opti would spin up a live stream and it would have 1,000 live viewers, or like 1,500 live viewers just on YouTube alone, right? Not even counting the other platforms. And everyone was hyped out of their minds. I never forgot that. It felt like yesterday that was happening. And the reason that that was happening was because of the new administration coming in. And the day Trump was inaugurated, you know what the Bitcoin price was? 109,000.
So depressing.
9 months later, 9 months, a baby gets developed and birthed in 9 months. It takes 9 months for that process to happen. It's a long time. Think about it. A year of your life, almost a year of your life has passed, and the price of Bitcoin is at $108,745. And what has happened in between was the price went down to 76. This is the year after the halving. Like, this is what is going on right now. Where this is weird. This is not what we're used to. And I know you get a lot of, and I have so much respect for these guys, and I admire their work, and I admire the stuff that they're doing and the articles they're putting together and the analytics. And I agree with a lot of them. But look, guys, the reality is this. It's a very simple reality. If the price hasn't moved in 9 months, we're not in a bull market. It's not, by definition, it's not a bull market. Someone in the chat saying BTC stablecoin. Yeah, of course. That's what it feels like. This is what I've been joking about. And a lot of people are making fun of me, and they say, but Nico, it's been going good. And I know I'm nitpicking the time, okay? Because to be fair, Bitcoin's performed fantastically over the last 3 years. It's performed incredibly. So it's done super, super well. Don't get me wrong. But this is the year after the halving. Historically, this is when price number goes up. Now, we can still get that in Q4, right? Everyone knows October is very famous for that. But what if October doesn't happen? What if we don't get an October? What if moving forward, and VJ Boyapati said this, and I know someone else said this who's really smart. He said the path of maximum pain is perhaps the path of maximum boredom. Slow grind up, followed by periodic but fairly shallow resets with no blow off top and no gut churning corrections. Bro. Oh, Opti, how do you feel about that post? That was posted the last day of August, so yesterday. How do you feel about that post?
Honestly, the longer we are going in this year, the more I am starting to really lean into we're going to be bored to death to a million. Like, we've been joking for a while, pump, crab, or pump, dump, crab, repeat. And that's like the cycle we're at. With that being said, though, I'm still waiting for the parabolic run here, and this is just like a vibe check, like I'm in your walking vibe check here because you guys see me go through the emotions every single day. As much as I was literally complaining about it this morning with Nico. Like, I'm like, man, can we get a pump, man? Like, can we get a pump? And then we went down like, the whale numbers right now of how much coin they're dropping. I'm like, man, we're so broke compared to these whales. Like, this sucks. As much as I really would love, and I basically at this point need a pump just to like feel something again. I'm just like dead inside here. I would honestly prefer this playing out and having less of a bear market. Like, if we have no more bear market ever again, I am so with that because I think I'm more traumatized of the last bear market than I am of the 2021 double top. The last bear market was brutal for us. We fully committed to Simply Bitcoin during the bear. It was rough, man. Being all in on Bitcoin in every aspect of your life is rough during a bear market. So I would love to eliminate bear markets. I'm totally with that. That sounds way nicer to me. Hey, if that means we're a stable coin now, I will take the stability of Bitcoin and not have 80% drawdowns again. No, I really want another pump, Nico. I need some gains. I not only for the fiat price, it's really for the dopamine kick. Like, waking up every morning and seeing the price just start ripping is just so much more fun. I love bear markets, but I love just how stupid everyone gets on Twitter during the bull runs. They're just so much fun. Everyone's losing their minds. That's the fun I want. That's the fun I'm looking for Q4. So who knows, man? We are addicts. We legitimately are addicts. I'm not even going to lie about you. I'm an addict for the price. Anyways, Nico, let's keep going. Yeah, keep going.
No, you absolutely hit the nail on the head, man. I think, I think especially if you're from the earlier classes, this is uneventful. I don't care what anyone says. I just do not care. I don't care. I understand that what you're saying, the argument that what you're saying, I don't want to name any names there because these guys are my friends, right? But like, I get what you're saying in terms of like, okay, Nico, but like all in all, we're up. Like, we're doing really, really well.
We're up 16%. year to date, Nico. It's so great, man.
I get that argument. And it's a true argument. Like, if you look at the last 3 years in Bitcoin, percentage terms,
yeah, it's crazy.
Fantastic return. You cannot deny that, right? The bottom was 16,000 and we're at 108,000. It's a fantastic return. Where else are you going to get those types of returns? They don't exist unless you take a huge risk. In Bitcoin, like I've seen Bitcoin as a sure thing for a long time now, right? So, that's the conversation. I think that post by VJ kind of summarizes it. Like, what if the era of parabolas is over? What if we are now entering Bitcoin's a maturing asset? The market cap is so big that, you know what? It's going to go up. It's just the years that it goes up 100 or 200 or 300%, those years are gone. Those years are gone. Those years are gone. Those years don't exist anymore. But a good year could still be 50%. Now, let me tell you guys something. If you guys get a 50% return on your investment in a year, you're crushing the game. You're doing really well, right? So, and now if you compound that, because that's the beauty of Bitcoin, it's not just 50% 1 year and then it goes down. It's 50% compounding. Now, if you take a look at Saylor's theory, right, he believes it's going to go from 40 down to 30 and then eventually down to 20 over the next 20 years. If you compound those types of returns year over year for 20 years, that's how you get to $13 million per coin. I think he actually even updated his price prediction to like something like 24 million, right? So yeah, I mean, that's effing fantastic. Like that's an incredible return. But again, as Bitcoiners, we are spoiled children. We're spoiled children, Opti. Like, let's just admit it. Let's admit we have a problem. Let's admit that we are spoiled, right? Let's just admit it.
I just admitted I'm an addict. All right, guys. First step is admitting I'm an addict. Okay, we are admitting we are price addict. Yeah, I'm a price addict here. But hey, Nico, actually, you said something, and it reminded me of a different story. And I'm going to cover this S&P 500 news for you. But this was also on Yahoo this morning, and it's literally, and we're not here to confirm our bias via Yahoo News, but they're saying exactly this. Bitcoin is getting boring. That could open more doors for the crypto asset on Wall Street. And essentially the first paragraph is like, the wild price swings has come down this year. Key reason, JP Morgan analysts are saying that companies rapidly stockpiling the asset is probably the reason. And then going further down here, where is this? There's a quote here. So it goes, by lowering Bitcoin volatility, these new buyers could make Bitcoin, quote, more attractive from a valuation point of view, adding that as its volatility drops, Bitcoin could become a more competitive alternative to gold. And while volatility doesn't equal outright investment risk, it represents a key component. So, as much as we as, Bitcoin price junkies want to see it rip, again, there's a whole new investor in the space, and this does lead into, if Microstrategy does get added to the S&P 500, that they're obviously looking at Bitcoin. Yes, they want returns, and like Nico keeps saying, 15, 30, 50% returns. Like, those are good returns if you are looking at from the Wall Street perspective. From our perspective, it's like, man, we don't even get up out of bed for a 15% return here, but the last 3 years, we're up like 650% or something like that. So let's break this down a little bit, because this is probably what is fundamentally shifting. And I don't know if you guys have been seeing, I've been mentioning Mitchell Hotto on here a lot. We're seeing more people kind of catch on to this trend that the market is changing. It's always different because, as the Zen Cohen goes, you never step into the same river twice. But things are fundamentally changing because there is a whole new investor. And as I've been kind of covering lately, this idea that institutional capital is here and retail is getting freaking swept up by institutions right now. They're acquiring all of the Bitcoin that's being released. There is no retail interest right now. The volume is dead. And this new investor is looking at Bitcoin a little differently. They do want to see it less volatile. Now, does this mean the ETFs and all that has neutered all the fun here in Bitcoin? And I know there's probably people in the chat like, I remember when you guys wouldn't talk about the price, bro. Like, you guys are talking about that constantly. And it's like, this is where we are right now. This is the news. This is what's fundamentally changing here. Yes, there's still the separation of money and state. Yes, there's still a lot of freedom-minded, tech dystopia news that we can be covering. But the main question on everyone's head right now is what is going on right now? This is supposed to be the parabolic run, and we haven't seen it. As we said, since 9 months, we're basically a stable coin. It's been 109K Bitcoin for over 9 months at this point. But as we're seeing new investors come into the space, as we're seeing a whole new risk tolerance come into the space, it is going for a moment to kind of shift the market structure. And if you're coming in from, say JP Morgan, BlackRock, you don't want to see crazy downside, price movement. So this volatility is probably a sign of good things for other people. For us Bitcoiners, we're like, man, this is not what we signed up for here. But anyways, let's break this down a little bit and then we'll chat about it. So Strategy qualifies for S&P 500 inclusion decision, and it could come on Friday. Microstrategy, now officially Strategy, has officially qualified for potential inclusion into the S&P 500 after posting one of the strongest quarters in its history. In the second quarter of 2025, the company reported $14 billion in operating income and $10 billion in net income, equal to $32.6 in diluted earnings per share. Quarterly revenue came in at $114.5 million, a modest 2.7% increase year over year, with subscription services rising nearly 70%. The results mark a dramatic turnaround from prior years when impairment charges tied to Bitcoin depressed reported earnings. Of course, the fair value accounting is now in play here. They were the first ones to adopt this, and so Strategy can now recognize its unrealized gains. And of course, with it around 100K, the company booked massive, quote, paper gains that transformed its balance sheet. Now, as of June 30th, Strategy held 597,000. I think it's higher than this. I think they're in the 600K. And the firm highlighted a Bitcoin yield of 19.7 year to date, a key performance indicator. Now, they raised their guidelines. Of course, everyone kind of saw this the other day, and they kind of moved some of the things around. They are taking a little more risk right now, and people started to completely freak out on the internet. And so here's the key here. The next potential window for inclusion is September 2025 rebalance, with announcements expected September 5th and changes taking effect September 19th. While the S&P Dow Jones Indices Committee retains discretion, Strategy's qualification underscores the growing role of Bitcoin in mainstream financial markets. That is probably the big key here. Again, with their new qualification, it underscores the growing role of Bitcoin in mainstream financial markets. If 2025 doesn't have a great price year, what we are seeing is Bitcoin is, for lack of better terms, being accepted here. They are looking at Bitcoin now like, holy shit, we actually have to hold this thing. This is no longer anything we can ignore. The biggest players in the world are looking into Bitcoin, and it would be the first, of course, Bitcoin treasury company to enter the benchmark index, symbolizing a landmark moment. So if this does happen, this would be one of those defining moments here in Bitcoin's history. And I've been saying 2025, I think, is one of those years where maybe we don't see the purchasing power increase that we've seen in the past, but it will be one of those years where we look back and 2025 was like that defining year where everything was laid out, and then Bitcoin can really make its run. So if the market does change here, I think that is going to set up what Saylor is saying of no winter ever again, because there does seem to be an infinite bid building up right now under Bitcoin. And hey, that just means all of our savings. That means our perfect money, our money is just going to increase in value, and we can, feel a little better about it.
But why isn't the price going up? I think that's the $1 million, the million Satoshi question.
Someone says, so basically it's over.
Back it up. It's done. I saw someone in the chat talk about the S curve, right? And this is kind of like a theory behind a lot of Bitcoiners, right? A lot of Bitcoiners have this theory, which is the S curve adoption, right? So you have the innovators, early adopters, early majority. My personal opinion is we're like in the early majority phase, in the beginning of the early majority phase. We're no longer in the early adopter phase. No. We're way past that. Way past the innovator phase. We're definitely in the early majority phase going up this curve. Now, the question is, and this is like the key difference between people's opinions, right? By the way, fantastic show today, 754 people watching live on YouTube. Shout out to the Rumble audience coming in strong, and on X coming in strong as well. So if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to smash that like button. Really, really helps with the algo. So smash the like button, share the video if you guys are enjoying the content. This is Simply Bitcoin Live. So let's talk about this, right? So have we crossed the chasm, Opti? Have we crossed the chasm?
I think we're crossing it. I think we're crossing it right now. I think this is what the chasm is. Like, we're seeing new interest from new investors in Bitcoin. We're seeing Bitcoin talked about at the highest levels. We're seeing nation states start to kind of dip their toes into Bitcoin. We're seeing, the ETF for Bitcoin just being launched. It's what, a year old? No, it's like almost 2 years old now, a year and 9 months or something like that. And it is the best performing ETF ever. Like, we're seeing Saylor just finally being able to tap into these capital markets. It's like, I think this is the chasm being crossed right now. Like, we are crossing the Rubicon as we speak. And this is probably why we are seeing, just a bunch of funky movements in the market. We're seeing things like not really play out how it happened in the past. It does seem like the 4-year cycle might be changing here. It looks like we're in the longest bear cycle ever. It's like things are finally changing here. So I'm leaning on we are at the chasm right now. Like, we're in the beginning of it. Maybe 2025 is the year of the chasm.
Yeah,
is it
maybe
chasm?
it is.
Chasm.
I think you're right. And then we have, let me pronounce that name correctly. We have Satwise Janks in the chat. And here's the big difference between, I think, what Bitcoiners are talking about. So, like, are we on this type of bell curve adoption, or are we on this type of bell curve adoption?
S curve.
Right? S curve, right? So the bell curve and then the S curve, right? And if we are in the S curve, where's the S? Where's the curve, right?
Dude, chasm right here, bro. Chasm.
You think it's the chasm? So the chasm is this sideways, sideways.
Honestly, is that not what we're doing right now? Flat and sideways.
I want to know what the audience thinks. We're about to break out 800 live viewers, guys. Where do you think we are in the Bitcoin price adoption?
Wait, Nico, will you go down? Does this have a time on the x-axis? Is there time? No.
There's R&D effort, which I don't think it applies to this.
So wait, let me do a finger. Yeah. So the next 5 years, bro, is when we get the real run up past the mill.
It's just gonna blow up. Could you imagine that? That would take everyone by storm.
Well,
I really want to know what the chat thinks. That's my thesis.
Guys. Yeah, we'll chat. You guys talk about it in the chat. But that's literally the thesis here. It's like, look, guys, you understand Bitcoin, and even within our quote unquote industry, there's still a lot of people that are shitcoiners that don't really understand what game is being played here. There's still people on Wall Street that probably haven't even taken the time to understand what Bitcoin is. They're just maybe here, throwing a little bit of chump change at it and being like, whatever, like, give me the gains. If you kind of take that conversation further and you talk to people that aren't Bitcoiners, that aren't on Twitter, like your friends and your family, most of them probably still think we're crazy. They don't understand the fundamental problem. And that just leads me to believe, it's like someone said in the chat earlier, we're like not even 1% of the bond markets right now, and everyone thinks it's over. It's like, I think it's just starting to begin. There's not that much capital in Bitcoin. There's not that many people that are that fervent about what Bitcoin is and trying to accumulate Bitcoin. And so if you think the gains are over, you think it's diminishing returns, it's like, we're not even at like 1% of the total population. Like, wait till we get to, 5 or 10%. And that's when the real fun's happening. But, I guess this is why we can't have nice things, Nico, is because everyone's asleep at the wheel.
Oh my God. So guys, let us know. I want to see what everyone's thinking.
Yeah, this is the best indicator right here, Nico. Only 700 people watching this globally were early.
Yeah. I mean, for being the #1 watch live show, right? That definitely says we're early for sure. Still in innovators, someone says. Sublime says we're in the it's over section of the S curve. Let me see. Early majority S curve. I would agree with that, but I think Opti's right. We're in the chasm.
No, this
right
one's
now.
the best one. John.
We're in the chasm.
John Tinkle Jr. Look at the adoption percentages at the bottom of the chart. We are in the first phase. Honestly, I kind of agree with that.
You think so? I mean,
dude,
well,
bro. We are literally less than I think the numbers are inflated. I don't think we're at 3% of global adoption of Bitcoin yet. Like maybe that's the official number, but I don't think we're at 3% yet.
I don't know. If you guys are enjoying today's show, make sure to smash that like button. We still have a ton of content left over for you guys. We got Jeff Booth. He went on Kitco News. He was dropping some hot fire. We're going to be talking about that. And then also some interesting news coming out of Metaplanet. So for anyone who doesn't know, a lot of these treasury companies, in percentage terms, their stocks are down like 50, 60%. But what are they doing? They're still trying to raise money to buy more Bitcoin. How does that work? Right? Think about that for a second. So, like, if your stock is down 50 or 60%, how is the market convinced to give you more money to buy more Bitcoin? Like, what does that work? And again, that's never happened before. We're in completely uncharted territory for the Bitcoin treasury companies. And there was a phenomenal article written by Bloomberg talking about just that. And of course, Opti's got something special for you guys during the culture, like always. But before we get into all of that, I do want to give a very special shout out to Simply Bitcoin's lead sponsor, by far the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack, bitcoinwell.com. Why do we recommend bitcoinwell.com here at Simply Bitcoin? Well, it's automatic self-custody. What does that mean? That means that when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, as soon as the funds clear, the funds go straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. They don't even give you the ability to leave the money on the exchange. To get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/simply. You get 3 tosses into the wishing well. If you are a high net worth individual looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more, and you want a tailored white glove service, you have to check out bitcoinwell.com/OTC. This is tailor-made for family offices, trusts, high net worth individuals, and organizations. What are you waiting for? Go to bitcoinwell.com/simply today to get started, and stay tuned until the end of the show, where we will be giving away some free Satoshis through the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest. All right, everybody, no more delay. Let's start the show. We have tons to talk about. Hit the smash button. We'll be right back. I want to give a shout out to our partner, StampSeed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? StampSeed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates. Instead of just writing them down on paper, paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo, and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on StampSeed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store. All right, everybody, we are back. Scan the QR code on your screen right now. Go to stampseed.com today. Don't write down your seed words on paper. Stamp them into titanium. Go to stampseed.com today. Use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $108,600. Block height, $912,729 or 29, not dollars. Sats per dollar, 921 sats per dollar. Market cap, 2.16 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 8.76% decline from all-time high. If you're buying Bitcoin right now, you're getting it at a almost 13% discount. Realized monetary inflation sitting at 0.84%. In the grand scheme of things, we are just getting the party started. Anyways, the one, the only, the legendary Jeff Booth went on Kitco, and he's talking about something really interesting. When you really understand it and you're constantly a buyer, there's never a price that's too high. I completely agree with that statement, but I can't explain it like Jeff Booth explains it. So let's check out the clip, and then me and Opti will talk about it.
Any legitimacy to those concerns on volatility when it comes to, hey, we're looking at these stock charts every day. I mean, sovereign funds aren't there to trade.
So if you're not there to trade, then you should be in this. Right. If you're in it to trade, if you're trying to, then you shouldn't be in this. If you're levering into something that's changing the world, a new structure for the world that can't be cheated, that is repricing everything, and you're trading that, then you could get wiped out. Yeah. And that's just an early evolution of an understanding of this, that fear and greed on both sides are trying to trade this asset. But when you really understand it, you're constantly a buyer. Mm-hmm. There's never a price that's too high. I buy in the low, I buy in the high, I constantly, because I don't think about the piece of paper that's being manipulated, pricing the world.
Okay, so let's talk about what Jeff Booth says, right? This is something that Michael Saylor has said as well, right? What is it that you are buying, right? It's a very important question, because right now, like, any disposable income I have that I'm not using to, pay for living expenses that I have for me and my family, why would I put that in? Why would I leave that in cash? Like, why? It makes no sense. There's 0 sense to it. If I know that cash is going to buy me less goods next year, why would I leave that? Why would I leave that extra money in cash? Makes no sense. Now, I don't think, and I know this might be unpopular with some Bitcoiners, but right now we're still not in a world where you can live completely off your Bitcoin. I think you still need fiat. Like, if you run a business, not all landlords, not all mortgage providers, not all your bills can be paid in Bitcoin. Like, I know that there's companies that facilitate that make that easier, that make that easy, but you can't do it directly with your stack. It's not like at the end of the month, you go and you take your hardware wallet and you're like, okay, ... let me just pay off these bills. There's a process that you need to go through in order to do that. And I know that there's Bitcoin companies that facilitate that, and they're awesome. And we love them at Simply Bitcoin. But let's just say fiat is still somehow involved, right? So if you have that pot of fiat that you're going to tap into to live off of every month, right? What about that extra? So, like, let's say you have, 10 or 20%, you're getting to the end of the month, that you have income coming in the next month, and you're like, what am I going to do with this extra money that I have? Are you just going to leave it in the account? Maybe you want to spend it. Maybe you want to enjoy yourself. Maybe you want to go out and have a nice dinner. Maybe you want to go on vacation, whatever. But let's say it's just a regular month and you're not doing any of those things, right? What are you going to do? Are you going to leave it in cash? No. You're going to buy Bitcoin. Now, does it matter if Bitcoin is at all-time highs? No. You're going to buy Bitcoin because you know that it doesn't matter whether the price of Bitcoin is at 108,000 today, there's a pretty reasonably high probability that the purchasing power of that said Bitcoin the next year is going to be higher than it is this year. Then why in the hell would I leave my money in fiat? And that's what Jeff Booth is talking about. And now one of the other pieces of wisdom that I'll drop for you guys is don't denominate your wealth in dollars or euros or whatever local currency you have. Denominate your wealth in Bitcoin. Your life will completely change. It will completely change. If you denominate your wealth in fiat, it's like you're on a rat wheel. Like that goal is gonna $1 million today isn't what $1 million was 10 years ago. $1 million today isn't what $1 million was 20 years ago. It's not the same. One Bitcoin today is not the same that what one Bitcoin was 10 years ago. It's the exact opposite of what fiat goes through. So fiat buys you less, Bitcoin buys you more, right? So with that logic, this is what Jeff Booth is talking about. Even at Bitcoin at $1 million, if I have extra income or $10 million, if I have extra income, I'm not going to leave it in something that is devaluing over time. That makes absolutely no sense for me. I'm going to put it in Bitcoin, or I'm going to put it in something that I think is going to outperform Bitcoin, which is very, very few things, I might add. Very few things, I'm going to repeat that. Very few things are going to outperform Bitcoin. Very few things. Very few stocks, very few real estate investments, very few things are going to outperform Bitcoin. So if you don't think you're going to outperform Bitcoin, then why not just buy more Bitcoin? That's what Jeff Booth is talking about. If you have savings, if you have some extra money on the side, what are you going to do with it? You're going to buy Bitcoin. That's what he meant. So it doesn't matter what the price is. The price could be at $10 million per coin. You're still going to buy Bitcoin because you don't want to hold on to fiat because fiat is devaluing. That's the simple truth. Now, are you going to get those 100x or 200x gains and, in a short period of time? I mean, we the whole beginning of the show, we were just discussing about it. Me and Opti were throwing a pity party for ourselves. Really thinking about it, like, oh my God, bro, the 2017 glory days are over. It's done. It's over. Wrap it up, bro. Like now we're a stonks channel, I guess. And we're going to be happy with 20-30% a year. Okay, so be it. But still, a 20 to 30% year over year growth in Bitcoin terms is effing gnarly. It's crazy. It's crazy, right? So Opti, I want to get your take on that, bro, because it's not buying Bitcoin. Like I would say that's a wrong, you're phrasing it wrong. You're saying it wrong if you say it that way. Because if you say it that way, it almost as if it sounds like, okay, I'm investing it. No, you're not. It's like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, look, if I have disposable income, if I have savings that I know I'm not going to spend, am I going to just leave it in my bank account? Why would I do that? That's stupid. No, I'm going to buy Bitcoin with it. But I'm going to exchange my dollars for Bitcoin because dollars are inferior to Bitcoin. That's how I would say it. Exactly. Someone said in the chat, exchange/buy. I wouldn't call it buy. You're not buying. I would say exchange.
Nico, this is exchange over buy.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say the word is exchange. Bitcoin at 100 million in 50 years with 17% a year. Nico in the chat.
Damn.
Ooh.
Dude, we're going to get bored to death
me
to 100 million.
Me and Opti are going to be like 80, bro, in like 50 years.
Bearish. Super bearish.
Anyways, Opti, what do you think about what Jeff Booth dropping the fire?
I love this because this is, I think, the final frontier of your Bitcoin journey. Is you first get into Bitcoin and you know, it's just, you have to use kind of examples of things that you're familiar with to kind of wrap your head around what is going on here. And of course, all these examples really fall short. But once you get to that point, like I always joke with friends and they don't even know what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, if I have dollars, I just like capitulate my dollars as fast as I can for Bitcoin. It's like I sell my dollars for Bitcoin, and they're like, what are you even talking about? Like, you need to, you know, stop smoking that hopium. Like, you speak in English to me. But I think this is the final frontier. And we get trolled in here all the time because we say we we always say, like, you know, you said you measure your wealth in Bitcoin, and then we literally bring up the Bitcoin price on the show every single day. And it's like, guys, what else do we measure our wealth with? Like this, we're Americans. This is how you measure your wealth. You know, for the time being, this is what we're dealing with. Yes, it's imperfect, imperfect metric here, but that's what everyone kind of understands as what your wealth is basically pricing it in dollars. Now, when you get to that final frontier of, like I always joke, we're playing Pac-Man, we're playing Hungry Hippo here. It's not about dollars. It's about trying to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible. And yes, of course, you know, we're still human, we're still flawed, and we do like to, you know, basically measure ourselves up to compared to where we were, and we use dollars to do that. Like that's what we use to survive. And I can throw down economic concepts, but that usually makes people's eyes kind of glaze over. But it's really just Gresham's law playing out in real time. It's like, I don't want this bad money, I want better money. And so therefore, if I'm holding on to bad money, what do I want to do? I want to get that bad money into good money as quickly as possible. That's what we're doing here. And so I've been saying for a long time that, yeah, you know, when I'm talking to people, I might use just kind of, you know, like normal nomenclature here. Like I might just use terms that people are used to. But when I think of this is like, I am exchanging my dollars for Bitcoin the same way someone might exchange their pesos for $1. Like, to me, this is how I think of it, because once you kind of get to the point of, this isn't just an investment, this isn't just something, you know, I want to sell for more dollars. Yes, I price them in dollars right now, but I use Bitcoin as money. I view it as the best money. And once you get to that point that Bitcoin is the best money, you're basically Jeff Booth here. He's like, why would I trade this thing? This is the best thing to be holding on to. There's nothing else to be holding on to. It's literally like, you got to go back to being like a 10-year-old kid. It's like, remember when you used to, you know, store gold coins or pennies and, you know, copper Indian head coins under your bed or in your piggy bank because you thought these were more expensive or had more value than the other ones? Or you even had a piggy bank. You're just trying to store your whatever money's coming in because it's better than whatever bubble gum or whatever, you know, you did as a kid. And that's like the game being played. It's like, you want to hold on to this Bitcoin thing. You don't want to trade it. I think what we're seeing right now is the dying last breath of people being able to actually trade this thing before it goes absolutely nuclear. And so if you are like me, and I loved Jeff Booth saying that because it reminded me of my early days in Bitcoin. You know, I did all of the, you know, I lived all of the memes. I got in Bitcoin. You could literally throw a dart at any shit coin and it was going to go up in 2017. And then the market gets pulled out from under you. And the one saving grace I had was, hey, I should probably learn about this Bitcoin thing. And then once you understand this Bitcoin thing, there's like a maybe a delay here where you're like, maybe I can trade this Bitcoin thing and I can get more Bitcoins. And then the bull run happens and you're like, you get caught up in the euphoria and you're just an idiot, or rather you are self-aware enough to be like, I can't out trade these algorithms here. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to keep buying it no matter what. Like, I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to store it. And soon enough, you're going to be like, yeah, it was a way better decision than trying to top the, you know, time to top, or looking at freaking charts all day and you have like 4 computers so you can out trade the algorithms. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to sit at the computer longer than I have to. I just want to Bitcoin and chill. I just want to, you know, live my life, store my value, my excess profits in Bitcoin, go enjoy my life. And as long as I'm not selling all the coins that are under my control, your life is better. It's like you don't need to trade this thing. You're just saving in the best money ever. It's just like you're storing the best money. It's not that difficult. I really don't get why it's that difficult. It's like someone said in chat, it's like, are we speaking English? How does this not make sense to anyone? And I think it's really all the FUD that's been, thrown at Bitcoin, that a lot of people still think the best money, the real money, is this paper money that is, thrust on us by governments. It's like, no, we have a better money. It's just taken a long time for people to wake up to the fact that we have a better money.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. Guys, it's going to be a fantastic show. We have some interesting news that you guys are probably going to want to hear about. So what happens to these treasury companies when their stocks go down, but they want to continue to raise more Bitcoin? Well, it seems like Bloomberg asked that article today specifically about Metaplanet. Metaplanet just recently announced that they have the intention of buying 1,000 more Bitcoin. That would put them at 20,000 Bitcoin, making them the 6th largest Bitcoin treasury company in the world. But their stock has dropped dramatically. So how are they doing this? We're going to have an update for you guys during the news segment. We're going to be right back in just a bit.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store.
All right, everybody, we are back. Scan the QR code on your screen right now. It'll take you directly to sat123.com. Again, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications, ladies and gentlemen. This store has it all. Faraday bags, Starlinks, satellite phones. Again, everything you need to build your Bitcoin citadel while being completely non-reliant on a centralized grid or centralized communication. So go to sat123.com today. Use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off. So let's talk about this. The headline for the audio listeners is Bitcoin Proxy's chief seeks funding fix as flywheel falters. What does that mean? So the article goes into a bunch of details, but here's kind of like the key analysis of this and what's going on. But essentially, it's pretty simple, and I'll walk you guys through it. Metaplanet is essentially trying to copy Michael Saylor's playbook in Japan, turn a regular company into a Bitcoin accumulation vehicle. Under their CEO, they've already piled up 19,000 Bitcoin, and they're planning to buy 20,000 Bitcoin. But the strategy depends on keeping their stock price high relative to their Bitcoin holdings, the so-called Bitcoin premium. That premium allows them to issue equity at favorable terms, recycle the proceeds into Bitcoin, and repeat, aka the flywheel. The problem is their stock has dropped over 50% since June, while Bitcoin itself has risen. risen. That collapse in premium has weakened the financial loop with Evo Fund because warrants aren't as attractive to exercise when the stock is falling. Without fresh equity capital, their ability to keep buying Bitcoin stalls. That's why their CEO is racing to pivot to preferred shares, a more defense funding mechanism that can raise billions without diluting common shareholders as heavily. They're trying to secure authorization for up to 555 billion or 3.8 billion in prefers, which, by the way, breaking news, they got that approval. That just broke. I saw it on the Simply Bitcoin X account, which you should definitely follow, one of the best Bitcoin news ags in the business, which could give them the ammo to quadruple their Bitcoin stash by the end of the year. The importance here is twofold. First, it shows the global spread of the, quote, Bitcoin treasury model. Public companies transforming into vehicles to front-run central banks and institutions in hoarding BTC. There are now over 170 entities with $111 billion worth of Bitcoin, and Metaplanet is in the top 10. Second, it reveals the fragility of these strategies. They depend on investor faith in the stock's Bitcoin premium. If that erodes, the flywheel seizes up. For Bitcoiners, it's significant because Metaplanet is trying to push the model into Japan, a traditionally conservative financial market, and they're bringing in Trump world figures like Eric Trump to align it with the broader pro-Bitcoin policy shift under the new administration. In short, Metaplanet's story underscores both the momentum and the risks of Bitcoin corporate adoption. If they succeed in raising billions through preferred shares, again, this has been officially approved, it could cement Japan as a major front in the Bitcoin accumulation race. If they fail, it highlights that only companies with strong equity momentum like Saylor's strategy can truly sustain the game at scale. Now, what I will say is this, and I've been saying this for a couple months now. Do I think Metaplanet, Nakamoto, 21, or Strategy, or any of the big players are in trouble? And we asked this question. In fact, I think it's still live in the chat. We asked you guys, almost 700 people have voted in this poll. We said, is winter coming? Meaning, are there going to be any more bear markets? 72% Opti. The vast majority, that's not a good sign. The vast majority of people have said that there will be no bear markets anymore, right? So
Bear market confirmed.
Yeah, I know, right? So 72% have basically, it's almost 700 people have voted that there will be no bear markets anymore. But here's the thing, like, I vividly remember this. I don't know if you guys were around for this, but Strategy, Saylor first announced the Bitcoin strategy in the last bull market, heading into 2021. And then he had to endure the bear market of 2022. And boy, that was brutal. Like, Saylor was down billions of dollars in his investment. Now, because he hodled and he was actually able to buy more, then his stock recovered and the guy looked like a genius. Like, we all look like a genius when we do that, by the way. It's called paying your price of tuition. It's something extremely familiar here in Bitcoin circles. So yes, I mean, to kind of summarize the point, Opti, what happens, bro? What happens when we do get a downturn? Because thinking that we're not going to get a downturn is ridiculous. Now, are we going to get 80% downturns? Maybe. You never know in Bitcoin, right? But maybe those days are over. Remember you say, Nico, those days are over. Now that BlackRock's here, institutions are here, governments are buying Bitcoin. The days of 80% drawdowns are long gone. They don't exist anymore. Okay, but what if they come back? How are those companies going to raise money to buy Bitcoin? And I think that's the question. Because I remember Saylor changed some of the parameters regarding his stock because of the downturn. Because of the, like, again, if you take a look at some of these treasury companies, they're not completely correlated with the price of Bitcoin. So, and then this goes back to something that I was saying during the news, during the numbers segment. if you denominate your wealth in Bitcoin, other investments don't make sense, right? Like, why would I buy Apple stock if I can buy Bitcoin and Bitcoin's going to outperform Apple stock? Oh, and not only that, I could take self-custody of that Bitcoin. Why would I buy Apple stock? Makes no sense, right? So again, the only reason as to why you're buying one of these treasury companies is because you believe it's going to outperform Bitcoin. If it doesn't outperform Bitcoin, there's no reason as to why you should buy a treasury company. They're like, you're literally setting money, you're setting Bitcoin on fire. So the only reason you should be buying a treasury company is because you think it's going to outperform Bitcoin. That's the only reason, right? So, but what happens when they start underperforming Bitcoin? What happens to their ability to raise more money to buy Bitcoin? Because that's the value proposition. The value proposition is that a lot of these treasury companies have access to the capital markets and they're able to access cheap debt in order to buy more Bitcoin and increase the amount of Bitcoin per share. But what happens, to use the Bloomberg article's own words, when that flywheel starts to slow down? It's going to affect the smaller Bitcoin treasury companies first, and then it's going to affect the larger ones. Now, again, I think Saylor has positioned himself at such a powerful and position that I think MicroStrategy is going to be the biggest bank in the world in the next decade. Like, I think Saylor reasonably has a shot of being one of the wealthiest people in the world in the next 10 to 20 years. Because again, he positioned himself so well, with such a big head start. But what about number 10 on that list? What about number 15 on that list? Right? Like, why would you buy number 15 if you can buy number 1 and you know number 1's already going to win? Well, you're going to buy 15 because you think that 15 is going to outperform number 1 because its market cap is that much smaller and it has that much more room to grow. But what if number 15 isn't able to raise money anymore because its stock isn't going up, and now all of a sudden the amount, the actual value, the market cap of that company, of that share, is actually lower than the amount of Bitcoin that they hold? So then why didn't you just buy Bitcoin instead? You would have outperformed that company and you could have still had self-custody, right? Doesn't make sense, does it? Anyways, I'm done. That's my tangent. Opti, I want to get your take on this because we've had to become these treasury company semi-experts very quick. I know you're the macro expert in the house, Opti. Very quick to talk about all this stuff.
I'm not a Bitcoin treasury expert, though. I still, maybe it's like what you said. Maybe it's just like the ideological divide here that made me not fully understand what these treasury companies are. But Nico's seen me. I've been listening to, Saylor shareholder meetings, trying to understand what these new products are doing. And the one big takeaway, at least from Saylor's perspective, is a lot of these products are kind of tapped and created for certain capital specific markets. And so he's tapping into these markets that otherwise wouldn't be able to get into Bitcoin. But that's kind of a totally different conversation than just the idea of the Bitcoin treasury companies. And so like what Nico is saying, just kind of breaking it down in simple terms, is like, by definition, what these treasury companies are doing is, as investor capital allocators, is they are taking on more risk to achieve a higher return. That's by definition. That's what investing is. And so that's why they get these, maybe outsized returns here, is because, and maybe Saylor could be argued is a little different, because I'm sure from his perspective, it's not so much a risk per se. He's just like, look, I'm creating these products and I'm tapping into these markets so that very few products or Bitcoin products can actually get into. And he's done the due diligence for all of this. But by definition, as an investor, you do take risk. And a lot of these Bitcoin treasury companies, like Nico's been saying for weeks now, maybe not 1, 2, or 3, maybe not the top 3 here, which would be what? Saylor, Metaplanet, Strategy, Metaplanet, and maybe like Nakamoto or 21 Capital, like those top four probably are the ones that will be able to withstand any storm here. But by definition, as you go farther down the list, these companies are going to have to take more and more risk. And personally, as someone that doesn't have, money wrapped up in traditional capital markets, well, had no money when I started this, still have no money considering we're brokies. I don't think the risk is justified here. And yes, the gains and the returns are an incentive, and you have to kind of fight your own personal greed here. But you never know. Some of these could, blow up. And personally, I think it's just a lot safer. It's like what we were saying in the beginning of the show. Like, to me, this is the best money in the world. I want to hold on to the best money in the world for as long as humanly possible. Personally, hold on to this money. So I'm not going to give, an investor this money when Bitcoin is being adopted and Bitcoin is in the process of being monetized. Maybe when, we're 80 years old, like they're saying in the chat, when we're 80 years old and Bitcoin's whatever, hundreds of millions of dollars per coin, then maybe that's when and we don't get these crazy returns because there's been a lot of adopters of Bitcoin and it's like, as ubiquitous as the internet is and everyone's using it, and we're no longer simply Bitcoin because no one really cares about Bitcoin like they used to, and it's like saying simply internet. Maybe that's the time in our lifetimes when we're like, yeah, we're going to allocate our capital for returns in various different investments that we think are going to either improve the world or, give me an outsized return. But in the moment, personally, the risk that I see in all this stuff, and hey, look, shouts out to all my friends out there that did understand this and got filthy rich off of this. I just know myself well enough. I'm like, look, I don't understand what this. I'm literally if you don't understand it, don't invest money in it. I'm like, I didn't understand what they were doing for a while, and now I literally feel like a normie when it comes to the Bitcoin treasury companies, in the sense is like I missed the boat, and everyone's like, dude, Strategy's going to, I don't even know what the numbers are, $10,000 per share or something like that, like something crazy. And I look at some of my friends when they say that the same way my normie friends look at me when I talk about Bitcoin. I'm like, nah, dude, I missed the boat. Like, I'm going to just sit in my Bitcoin. Yeah, you're going to get stupid rich, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with these things. I'm not going to take that risk here. Like, the last thing you want to be doing right now as Bitcoin becomes monetized is taking excess risk to your holdings. That's like the worst thing you can be doing. Yeah, maybe if you want to, shave off a little bit and, mess around in the casinos or take a little bit and be like, yeah, okay, hey, this little bit of my stack isn't going to really affect my life either way. If I can get a good return on it, so be it. But I mean, we were talking this morning, Nico, and I'm not going to dox our boy here, but he was trolling about like, dude, should I sell my whole stack for some Metaplanet right now? We're like, no, dude, do not do that at all. That is the dumbest thing you can be doing right now. And it all goes back to the same idea. Like, if we are in this S-curve adoption, if we are on, the tip of a tsunami, a monumental wave coming into Bitcoin, the last thing you should be doing is adding more risk into your portfolio. Bitcoin, as the average person looks at it, is already risky enough. If you don't understand what these Bitcoin treasury companies are doing, if you can't read the prospectus and understand exactly what they're doing, you probably shouldn't be giving them your money. Yes, I have friends that, do the like MSTY, MSTU plays and like, man, it's passive income, bro. I don't have to ever sell I'm like, man, that sounds really nice. I just don't understand what the hell it's doing. So I'm not going to throw my coins at it. I'm not going to throw my 10 million sats, my generational wealth at it, because I don't get what they're doing here. But for better or worse, we will see probably a Bitcoin treasury company, whether it's the big ones or not, blow up. I think it's a totally different conversation, but I think it's going to happen. Now, I don't think it's going to be Saylor. I think Saylor is probably, the smartest one doing it. Or do I think it's Metaplanet? Like, these are for different markets. As one of my favorite theories is, the reason Satoshi Nakamoto picked the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto is because he was saying, look at the Japanese markets right now. America will become Japan if they don't get their shit together. And look what's going on in Japan right now. They're not in a good place. And so if you think we are on the precipice, am I falling off?
No, you're here.
Oh, it said I said I lost my connection. If you think we are on the precipice of something huge and monumental, of a phase shift in money right now, then taking risk on that right now, just the returns do not. The ROI on this just doesn't make sense to me. Like maybe you could double, triple, quadruple, 10 times your stack if you knew Saylor's strategy was going to work. But there was also the chance back then that you could lose your whole stack. And right now is not the time to be taking these risks. I think it's just like, hey, Bitcoin and chill.
Bitcoin and chill. I absolutely love that. I think it's very fitting to enter the culture segment with that. Guys, we're going to be right back. Opti's got something loaded up for you guys. And then of course, we're going to be giving away some sats through Bitcoin Well. So you guys are going to want to stay tuned. Smash that like button if you guys are enjoying the show. We're going to be right back in just a bit.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank. And you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys. Tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth. And join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io. Join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
All right, everybody, we are back. If you guys are enjoying the show so far, make sure to smash that like button. We're currently at 291 likes. Help us break 350 likes by the end of the show. Smash that like button. Opti's going to dive into the culture. And again, you guys are going to want to stay tuned to the end of the show because we're going to be giving away some sats.
All right. Well, guys, first off, for the culture, I did lint roll my hat, but apparently Nico's house is linty here still, so yeah. Anyways, shout out to Ron. I am linty, dude. I'm salty and linty right now. Thank you, Ron P. Super chat, $10 for the Chipotle Mayo Fund. Okay, guys. First of all, I feel like a lot of my cultures have been a little doomy, and I hate being the fiat doomer guy here, but a lot of the charts and metrics that I'm seeing right now, they should be worrisome. All right. That's just going to be my context here. Like, this stuff is the stuff I'm seeing on Twitter. I don't know who you guys follow on Twitter. Maybe I've curated my Twitter account because the data I'm getting and from the people that I'm seeing, I'm like, some of this stuff is absolutely terrifying if you are still holding dollars. Okay. That's kind of like the PSA here. Now, this first one is the craziest one, I think. Look, Nico, wait, do that again, Soph.
She's eating me ice cream.
Dude, that was crazy. Okay, this first one is Kobayashi Letter. Great follow. You know, you could argue that they do have a certain bent here. They are a little more doomerish, but again, if you're watching the traditional news, if you're watching the traditional, wait, did you lose me?
No, I still see you,
Oh,
dude.
no, sorry. Someone says we lost Opti the bit. No, dude, I'm bullish. I am bullish as fuck when it comes to Bitcoin. But the data I'm seeing coming out from the TradFi system is where this is leading. Remember the Balaji tweet that his thread that I covered the other day. It was kind of connecting where we are right now to the very end of the Soviet Union. And essentially, the short of it is, as things progressed and before the wall came down, all of the economic data was being faked. And they were trying to put out really good numbers. And we're seeing this narrative play out right now. As a Bitcoiner, we all know, like, most of the economic data that we're seeing is most likely, massaged, to put it nicely. And when it comes to the independent journalists, if you want to call them that, the independent analysts out there, the numbers aren't painting a good scene, okay? And I've covered a bunch of different examples, but this one really kind of struck me. So Kobayashi letter on Twitter, and he goes, "This is insane. The NASDAQ market cap relative to the US M2 money supply has hit a record 176%. This means the market value of the NASDAQ is nearly twice as large as the total stock of liquid money in the economy. The ratio has now exceeded the 2000 dot-com bubble, peaked by roughly 45 percentage points. Never in the history of financial markets has the rise in stock prices exceeded the growth of the money supply by this much. At the same time, the NASDAQ market cap relative to US GDP has risen to a record 129%, almost double the dot-com peak. How much further can it go?" And remember, the market cap of NASDAQ versus the US GDP, like, we probably haven't seen this scenario ever. We've probably seen it maybe once or twice in the history of the US. And this is where you kind of start to think in a big picture. This isn't just the US. Yes, we are US centric because we live in the United States. So a lot of our data comes from the US. And I'm sure if you look around in whatever country you're in, I'm sure it's worse than this. The US economy is still the shiniest turd in the race. Okay. Like, it all is kind of downstream from us. And look, we are in a scenario right now that might be worse than the dot-com bubble. Now, I know a lot of people are probably saying, oh, Bitcoin's the real dot-com bubble. And we would look at it the opposite. Like, no, fiat currency is the real bubble. And Bitcoin's the pin on that. And so as we're seeing this push from the Trump administration for stable coins, it's hard to see how Bitcoin doesn't rip through this process. I don't know if you guys have watched the gold price, but gold is also hitting all-time highs, guys. And you know what this usually means from a hard money aspect is when people are fleeing treasuries and cash and they're diving into gold, a hedge against, fiat collapse, a hedge against inflation, debasement, etc. This is usually signs that there is not only fear in the market, fear in the investor, but probably a problem, a fundamental problem, a plumbing problem. And we're seeing gold has never been this high ever, literally ever. So what does that usually mean? As we always say here in Bitcoin, it's not just that Bitcoin is going up in price, is that your dollar is losing its value. Now, we're seeing this exact thing play out in gold, and usually gold runs before Bitcoin. So if there's someone out there, or rather, if there's a collective consciousness out there of people seeing this data and being like, wait, there is a problem going on. I should probably sell my stocks. I should probably not buy treasuries, and I should just go into the Armageddon investment, which is buying gold. I'm not saying we're going into a Mad Max scenario this year, tomorrow, 5-10 years from now. All I'm saying is exactly what Kobayashi letter said here at the end. How much further can it go? Now, I think they can kick the can down the road farther than and longer than any of us could even imagine. It's not a good thing for people on Main Street. It's not a good thing for your friends and family if they're just holding stocks thinking like, oh, the S&P 500 is going to outperform inflation. I'll be good. Or, I'm going to put all of my money into 401ks because my employer is going to match it. It's like, bro, none of this would matter or none of this is going to matter if the data comes out proving exactly where we are, which if you've been following, I'm pretty sure we've been in a recession for officially unofficially in a recession for probably a year or two. Now it's seeming like if they don't get this under control, hence why we think rate cuts are probably coming. And if the rate cuts don't do anything, it could expose this whole sham that we aren't just in a recession. We are probably in a depression right now. And if you talk to anyone out there, just like a normie, they're probably feeling more of a depression type scenario than they are a recession. People are working multiple jobs. They can't buy groceries. Rent's super expensive for most people. Hard to pay their bills. People are struggling right now. And this is all the stuff that continues to kind of paint the picture. This is why I think I've gotten into the macro kind of landscape here, is because, look, Bitcoin is entering those markets. Like Bitcoin is entering the mainstream here. And if there is something that you can learn from macro markets or macro analysts, is that a lot of the indicators, the independent analysts out there, are kind of showing that the geopolitical macroeconomic landscape is not in a good position. And the only way they can keep doing this is what Lynn Alden keeps saying. They have to continue to print. The big print, as Larry Lepard said, they can't stop this train, as Lynn Alden's been kind of talking about. And so that's like the big doomer stuff. On the flip side here, there is a flip side. Is Bitcoin accumulation is rising as holders stack above 100K. So we are starting to see, you know, as people like to call it, the mother of all supply shocks building up. The Bitcoin treasury companies, the whales out there, you guys out there, we are starting to see that people are accumulating Bitcoin. Now, are those holders coming from gold? Or are those holders coming from dropping treasuries? Are those holders from more traditional assets? Yes, but also I don't think in size yet. So this is like the Paul Revere moment here that we should all be on. We need to continue to get as many people as we can, however we can, not, you know, just like shilling them like incredible price gains here. You just got to be like, hey man, you should probably just buy a little bit, you know, just dip your toes in this Bitcoin thing, however it makes sense to your friends and family. But we as Bitcoiners, we as, you know, Simply Bitcoin here, Rustin, Dante, Sophie, Oceans, like we are, I think symbolically, like the Paul Revere's out here on YouTube, just being like, guys, you need to be holding Bitcoin. You have to. This isn't an option anymore. This is a necessity. Like, you need to hold Bitcoin, because who knows how long this can go? Who knows what's going to happen? But what we do know is they're going to debase the currency. They're going to debase your holdings, and you need to hold something that they cannot destroy, which is, of course, Bitcoin. And I just want more people to hold it. I like, man, I'm an accelerationist in the opposite view, Nico. I don't want everything to burn. I want everyone to hold Bitcoin, and we can just get past the chasm here.
I love that. I love that. No, I mean, yeah, dude, things are on an unsustainable trajectory. I think this has been the case since 1971. Really started since the executive order 6102, and you know, it's been decades and decades and decades of basically stealing from the future to enrich the present. And I think our generation is finally when those decisions finally caught up with themselves. I think 2008, 2009, when, you know, me and Opti were coming of age, essentially, the millennial generations, the first generation where we are feeling the effects of the 2008, 2009 financial crisis. The Zoomer generation, even worse. The Alpha generation, even worse. You're not going to own anything, right? The median age for a home buyer in the United States is 40 years old, the highest it's ever been since the data was starting to get accumulated. I mean, it was 2002, and the median age for a home buyer was like 30 years old. It's gone up 10 years, right? And then not only that, you talk about America in the 1950s and the 1960s, and you talked about a middle-class family being able to support itself off of one income and off of a regular job, and they were able to afford a home, meaning they were able to live with dignity, right? That has been stripped away. The American dream has been eviscerated by the central banking system, by fiat, and Bitcoin restores that hope. And not only does it restore that hope, it exports that hope globally. Now, everybody could live the American dream if they start saving and earning in Bitcoin, right? So this is what it's all about. We all see the numbers. I think with the propagation and popularity of stablecoins, I think the dollar is going to continue for the foreseeable future. So this dream that Bitcoiners have that Bitcoin is going to replace the dollar, yeah, sure, maybe 30, 40 years from now. I don't think it's going to happen anytime
Stablecoins are
soon.
replacing the dollar, Nico.
The same thing. It's the same thing. It's just digital. It's just digital dollars. It's the same thing, essentially. I'm honestly looking forward to a world where you're able to use dollars as seamlessly as stablecoins. Like, part of the reason I think stablecoins are so effing popular is because the banking system, like, look, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I live in the US. My bank treats me extremely well. Like, I have very good experiences with my bank.
Fake Bitcoiner.
But that's only because, right, I've been with my bank for many years. I have a small business. Again, I'm a great customer. So they have every incentive to treat me right. But the reality is that most people, you're not going to have that same banking experience. Like, in even if you live in a specific country, you can't even open a bank account. Not only can you not open a bank account, the bank itself might rug you, right? Like, that's crazy. Like, why would you want to do that? So, like, this is what stablecoins are for. Like, this is why stablecoins are so popular in the global south, is because not everyone has the ability to open a bank account or has the means to open a bank account, or more importantly, trust in the local banking system itself. They've lost faith in it. So they look at my personal favorite, Tether, and they're like, oh, this is fantastic. I can have access to dollars. I can use dollars globally now. This is incredible. But it's a Trojan horse. It's a Trojan horse for Bitcoin because it gives them exposure to a digital wallet. And then eventually, if enough people in that country start adopting the stablecoin, a stablecoin doesn't fix inflation. It does not fix inflation. I get it. If you're going from a Bolivar with like double-digit inflation and you're transitioning to the dollar is going to be a significantly better experience for you. But eventually, if you compare and contrast dollars and Bitcoin is going to be a significantly better experience for you. But again, Bitcoin doesn't have that marketing aspect of it. It doesn't have that educational component. The dollar's been around for a long time. It has very strong branding. The US economy, the US militarily, the US in general, it seemed like the shining city on the hill. That's what it seemed like for, across the world. So of course people want access to dollars, right? And before stablecoins, you couldn't get access to dollars, maybe physical dollars, but you couldn't get access to digital dollars. You need a bank account for that. So yeah, man, I think, to go back to what you're saying, Opti, to weave all this back in, I don't have faith in the long-term viability of this system. To borrow Lynn Alden's quote, right? Nothing stops this train. Larry Lepard just wrote a book called The Big Print. What do you think is going to happen to your savings and earnings in dollar terms, in purchasing power terms, when that inevitable big print happens? It's going to lose purchasing power. It's going to be debased. And you know the things that are going to benefit when they inevitably start printing money because they have to? Hard assets. And the best hard asset of them all is Bitcoin, right? So anyways, I hope that ties it in. We've had an incredible show today. 800 live viewers on YouTube alone. Rumble coming in strong. X always coming in strong as well. I think we're on the verge of breaking 3,000 live viewers on X. If you guys enjoyed today's content, make sure to smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. And before we go, as I promised, we are going to be giving away some sats. So we're going to be playing live on air. We're going to be doing a live demonstration, if I could log in here, of the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest. So what is the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest? Well, it's a contest that you can play at bitcoinwell.com, the best place to build your automatic stack. The way that you get access to it is up and you make an account. You could do that by scanning the QR code on your screen. By the way, if you use the QR code or you go to bitcoinwell.com/simply, you get 3 tosses into the wishing well. So 3 tosses, you have an opportunity to win up to 1 million sats every single toss. And you can scan the QR code or you can check the link in the video description to start playing today. We're going to be doing a live example for you guys right now. Get your Lightning wallets ready. The prize today might be 1 million sats. Let's see. Let's see what the grand prize is today. Let's see what it is. Let's see what it is. Could you imagine if that would be crazy? Today's prize is 347 sats. Congratulations to the first person who scanned the QR code. Again, go to bitcoinwell.com/simply to get today, and you get 3 tosses into the wishing well. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you all. We'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live.
Today's episode was brought to you by bitcoinwell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.